All right. So tell me, which version of Goku do you think beats Peter Griffin? Like anime, manga, like what? What are they?
I primarily scale the anime version of DBS Goku.
Okay, so you primarily scale the anime version of DBS Goku, and
Correct.
you think that he beats like full power Peter Griffin, even based off all the scaling I gave you.
Yeah, the the 6D immeasurable speed scaling. Yeah, I just
You think Goku's higher than that?
yes.
Okay. Explain why Goku goes anywhere beyond 3D first.
Well, first of all, there's the cosmology of Dragon Ball's macrocosm. So first off, it's stated in multiple guides, mainly Daizenshuu 7 and Chozenshuu 4, that there are an infinite amount of galaxies in the universe due to how
Hyperbolic.
Hmm?
That could be hyperbolic.
I mean, Herms seems to think that it's like Herms posted on Twitter that
that's an appeal to authority, bud. It's a fallacious argument to appeal to someone that has some authority in a community and say that their opinion holds more truth than someone else's.
I mean, it's stated it multiple times in different guidebooks. So,
I mean, infinite can also mean like very vast or large. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a mathematically infinite amount of galaxies. If that was the case, then there would be a bunch of other versions of Goku running around because another version of Planet Vegeta would spawn, right? If it was mathematically infinite.
why would that be the case?
Okay, so like in mathematical infinity, it's like every possible possibility, correct? Like if it was truly mathematically infinite, it would be every possibility of every planet that could pop up.
Okay.
So that would mean that Planet Vegeta would have respawned inside of the universe as another planet, and there would be a new Saiyan race in Universe 7. If those statements are truly to be believed to be mathematically infinite, which is narratively inconsistent.
I mean, pretty sure they say in the anime that there are only no wait, forget it's not relevant. Let's see.
And also, how can a macrocosm have multiple levels of dimensionality inside of it? Because a macrocosm is supposed to hold multiple different universes or like pocket dimensions inside of it, like how the Universe 7 has its own version of Heaven, Hell, and the Supreme Kai Realm. Like it has all of those things, but how would you say that they exist on a higher level but are still contained within?
They're just we'll put it this way: say you have an infinite square, and then if you were to say put that square in say hyper no, I'm sorry. If say you have a 3-dimensional cube, that cube is infinite along all three of its axes. If you put that cube into a 4-dimensional construct, that for the construct only has to be infinite along those 3 axes. It can't just be finite along the 4th axis. Therefore, in like scaling terms, that would just be a finite 4th-dimensional construct, since that's the
Yes,
one thing we're measuring at that
I
point.
understand how that works in comparison to like mathematical dimensionality, but when it's a what's it called? When it is a macrocosm where, let's say, every universe has their own version of heaven and hell, because like we haven't seen any of the people that hit killed in Universe 6 going to Universe 7's version of hell, or we haven't seen any like villains from other universes that Jiren defeated popped up in the version of hell that we've seen. So it's pretty safe to say that every version of the universe in Dragon Ball, which there are at least 12 of, if I remember the TOP correctly, each of them has their own version of heaven, hell, and the Supreme Kai World.
Yeah.
And even if you say that they are each infinite, which you'd again have to prove, because I don't believe, even if you say that each of those are infinite, that would still only be like let's see, you take 3 separate dimensions times the amount of universes. That'd be 12, 24, like 36 times universal if you blew all of it up, because it would just be 36 times of infinite universal.
I mean, yeah, but it's mainly due to the fact that, let's say, for the galaxies, if there are an infinite amount of galaxies, that means that due to gravity, the universe itself, the empty space of the universe, has to be much, much, much larger than the galaxies themselves.
But I already gave a debunk to the infinite amount of galaxies thing. It could be hyperbole, or it could be not referring to mathematically infinite galaxies. It could just be
I mean, like
a lot.
it's like it's mentioned in Daisenshu 4, Daisenshu 7, and Shozenshu 4. So if it was hyperbolic, why would it be?
Have you posted scans for any of those in the debates and scans channel?
Sure, I can I have the sure I can pull them up right now.
And even if you did, if it's only the word infinity that's saving you here, I'm sorry. Infinity can mean very vast or large.
Let me just get them real quick. It's like I have them all in like a I have them all. I have the cosmology scan in the album. You want me to just send that in the? You want me to just send that in the chat?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll break it down.
So which one should I send it in?
Debates and scans, please.
Let's see. There we go.
So you know that there is like another definition of infinity that also applies to like specifically celestial bodies that this could also apply to, and like it would also debunk your scaling.
And that is.
Okay, so you know how like our real life universe is quote unquote infinite because it's like expanding over time?
Yes.
The same could be applied to the Dragon Ball galaxies. It could just be that they're expanding over time and the new planets are eventually created by the Kaioshin.
The universe of Dragon Ball is directly stated to be infinitely expansive in that way. If the galaxies were expansive in the same way, they would have been written the same way, but they aren't.
I mean, wait. In the scans you sent, it says the infinitely expansive universe. It literally says it.
Yeah, the universe is infinitely expansive on top of there being an infinite amount of galaxies. The galaxies themselves.
Okay. But the thing I just said, you said was not the case, and then the evidence that you sent to back up your claim supports my claim. So you agree with me on at least one point.
It's like that the universe itself is infinite expansive, not the stuff within the universe.
Okay. How is the universe not mathematically infinite, but still contain things that are mathematically infinite?
It's a higher dimensional structure.
Prove that.
It would have to be in order to hold an infinite amount of stuff.
That's an appeal to reality. This is fiction. Things can work however they need to.
This is due to gravity, which is proven to exist in Dragon Ball in the same way it works in our reality. If you had a bunch of galaxies, due to how large they are, they would need a massive amount of empty space in order to not collide with each other.
Considering how inconsistent gravity is throughout Dragon Ball and how there's machines that can just manipulate gravity on a whim, I would say that it is inconsistent to say that gravity in Dragon Ball works exactly the same way it does in real life. Because it can easily be manipulated by technology, and also planetary mass seems to work different. Because if the anime is a little bit wishy-washy with the way that it portrays planetary size in some angles, but unless you had them consistently scaled to a certain size greater than Earth, it would be hard to do the mathematical this planet's 10 times stronger than Earth's gravity type of shit that the anime just states. So if the artwork isn't consistent, then it doesn't work off of real life gravity. That's basically what I'm saying.
I mean, couldn't the machines just be simulating gravity and not actually manipulating it?
But it is, because it is tangibly affecting real life people. Like the people of the verse are actually being tangibly affected by this, so it is somehow manipulating the force of gravity.
How would that? If it's simulating extra gravity, then they would still weigh. Then they would still weigh more. It's just artificial gravity.
They're not putting on weights. They're stepping into a room that has more gravity. The room has a controllable button on it that can control the gravity inside.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's using say a form of gravity manipulation.
Yes, it is technology that has a form of gravity manipulation. It's the world of Dragon Ball. Why is that out of your realm of possibility?
I'm just saying isn't it just more plausible that the machines, which are the main inconsistency, here are just saying like their form of gravity isn't real gravity; it's just say artificial gravity.
I think it's an appeal to reality in the first place to even be trying to say that Dragon Ball's gravity works like it does in the real world, to try and say that the whole universe is bigger. Said in the wrong chat, TG.
I accidentally sent something that I was just typing out to keep track of the debate. So
that's all good. You can send that to like Derek or something if you want.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to send it to anybody. I'm just writing it down so I'm able to keep track. Oh yeah, and real quick, Dank. I was tuned out for just a second. Why did you bring up the gravity room again?
Because he brought it up as the main point of inconsistency. As my point was that if there are an infinite amount of galaxies, then the universe would need to be higher dimension. It's like,
yeah, I understand that. I'm just listening to what your premise is overall. Like, I understand you brought up if the universe would have to be infinite if it could hold infinitely expansive galaxies.
The galaxies aren't infinitely expansive. There's just an infinite amount of them.
I literally sent you the scan.
No, hold on. All right. Break it up. Okay. So, I'm asking, how did the gravity room come up in the first place? That's all I'm asking.
He points. It's like I said that since gravity in Dragon Ball is shown to work in a similar manner to how it works in real life, then it should also make sense that if there are an infinite amount of galaxies, the universe would need to be just that much larger in order to hold all of them without them colliding.
And I am saying that there is a possibility that either gravity in Dragon Ball works differently due to planetary sizes not necessarily scaling to the proper gravitational mass that they should have if they were real life planets, as well as gravity being easily manipulated by Bulma's technology. Or just scientifically it just works different because it's fiction and it's an appeal to reality to say that gravity has to work the same in every verse.
So, to which he said for the gravity machines, I said that's just say a form of my point was that it's a form of artificial gravity, and thus the inconsistency isn't a real one.
Can you prove that it's a form of artificial gravity?
It's it doesn't seem to be changing.
I don't care about did you or did you not bring up the time chamber? That's all I'm asking for right now.
He never brought up the time chamber. He never brought up the time chamber.
Okay, never mind then. I guess I must have.
He just brought up. The only things that's been brought up is the gravity chamber. Okay. Can I get to a more constructive point?
Sure.
Okay, we were already talking about the Dragon Ball cosmology, and I already definitively scaled how big it should be. Even if you say that all of these are infinite in size, which I don't believe because I don't think you've sent sufficient scans to prove to me, the whole. Even if they are that all of the universes themselves are infinite, there's still only 46 of them. Peter, in my video, I was able to prove is universal, is able to tank a punch from God, and should have 60,000 times 60,000 times infinite universal durability. 60,000 times infinite universal.
That's not my thing, because the cosmology is just the first part of my argument. It's not the entire thing.
Well, give me a feat that Goku's actually done. Give me a feat that he's tanked or something he's thrown out and quantify it in terms of how many universes it could blow up if it wasn't aimed at a person.
Let's see. Well, there's Goku. There's Goku's. I'm just gonna post the second playlist. Or I guess what is it? This is the time turn set as part of the debate. Vegeta shows.
Oh my god!
Vegeta states back in Namek that if power increases, then speed should increase along with it. So there should be say you got a 30% increase to power, you should see a 30% increase to speed.
You think this 2016 ass argument's gonna work on me?
Is there anything wrong with it?
Yeah. Here's the problem. It's all based around hacks and Dragon Ball and a misunderstanding as to how hacks work. If a character in Dragon Ball has hacks of a certain type, let's say hits time skip, you overpower that not by necessarily having to be faster than time itself. You just have to be stronger than hits power level. Goku went blue Kaioken in order to overpower Hit's time skip, and he was able to beat Hit in the Universe 6 arc, basically. He was able to contend with him during his time skip, and it was no problem for him. Later, in the Tournament of Power, after Hit gets stronger, characters later that are much stronger than him have some difficulty dealing with his time skip, but after going more seriously, they're able to easily break through it. The Angels make hyperbolic statements saying that it is transcendence of time, but that's only because they're beating an ability that controls time, not necessarily that they're stronger than the concept of time itself.
Except that for Hit's time skip, Bato says that when Hit skips forward in time, he uses the time he skips to create a separate space, a parallel world.
Yeah, so literally all he's doing is basically like storing time in like a pocket dimension and then like just using that pocket dimension to slip around. You know, like
He's using the time to create the pocket dimension.
He's essentially doing Kamui from Naruto, but he's just slipping in and out of time.
That's not how that's not how it works. He's like she quite literally says, and with that stored time, he can create a separate space, a parallel world. The place is literally made out of time.
Okay, so like Kamui in Naruto, it allows you to like make yourself disappear into a parallel world that the jutsu also creates.
But it's a false equivalence because Kamui isn't the time hacks.
I was saying it's very similar, but instead of space, it is time.
Yeah, but the difference is Obito isn't reforming Kamui every single time he uses Kamui. The Kamui dimension is a constant.
Wait. Obito isn't using Kamui every time he uses Kamui. Can you?
He isn't reforming the dimension of Kamui whenever he uses it. He's just opening and closing the gateway to it.
So you're saying that every time Hit is using time skip, it's a universal feat because he's making a pocket universe?
It's like it should. It's like since he's manipulating time, unless you think time isn't the fourth dimension, then it should be a universe level plus feat. Of course,
you would have to prove that time is the fourth dimension in Dragon Ball because trying to say just that it is in real life, therefore it isn't Dragon Ball, is an appeal to reality. But
it's like why wouldn't it be the fourth dimension? I mean, if time was the first or second dimension, then these three-dimensional characters wouldn't be constrained by it. But obviously,
because Toriyama and the avatar that he writes the story through, Toribot, are both capable of writing a story however they want, regardless of whether or not it makes sense with logical fiction, like logical reality. It does not have to take place in the continuity of our world or even any world that Toriyama's created before. Toriyama can write whatever he wants, and it does not have to adhere to real-life laws of reality. So no, it does not have to be the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension can be whatever it wants in Dragon Ball. It could be where Beerus was born.
But considering the fact that unless you do you think Goku is a three-dimensional construct?
Well, I would agree that the Dragon Ball verse at least has the properties of length, width, height, and time, which would at bare minimum make it 3D, but I don't think you can get it much higher.
Okay, so you said length, height, width, and time, but then said 3D.
Yes.
You said length, height, width, and time. That's 4 things.
Yeah. So like you can't physically touch time. But like width and height are all physical properties that like all of us can see and interact with. We can't see time. So
you would say that the Dragon Ball cosmology has 4 dimensions. 3 spatial and 1 temporal.
I'm saying it has at least 3, and we know that there are multiple timelines, but we don't know how time works, whether it's the fourth mathematical dimension or not. So
it has to be but it has to be at least the 4th dimension, because otherwise then these characters
No, it doesn't. Time can be a third dimensional construct in fiction. Time can be a third dimensional construct alongside the space that it exists in. There could just be 4th dimensional timelines and 5th dimensional timelines. There'd be no inherent inconsistencies with that.
It's like, okay, but you said time. It's like, how does time being 3D not cause consistencies in Dragon Ball? Like, these are characters exerting power along 3 dimensions. It's like, at what? It's like,
okay, yeah. You would legitimately have to prove to me that anyone in canon mainline DBS anime has destroyed the entirety of the mathematical third dimension for this hypothetical to even come up. Has anybody in canon DBS anime destroyed the entirety of the cosmology and then reverted it?
It's like Goku and Beerus. Like Goku and Beerus. No, that's not it. What is it?
You kind of really do need a cosmology buster here, because I've already been able to send a scan for a calc that gets Peter Griffin up to 60,000 times universal durability. So at bare minimum, Goku would have to have an attack that could destroy 60,000 universes in order to even harm Peter Griffin. And the Dragon Ball cosmology I was able to scale to only like 46 times universal. So you'd have to have someone that could bust the cosmology thousands of times over if you want.
All right then.
So Goku been training with Zeno in the back or something? Like you got some secret scan?
Hold a second.
How are you in VC in 2 different servers?
Who, me?
Yeah, it says you're in VC in Rosa's server, but also in here.
Oh, shit, probably on my phone. Yep. That's how strong I am. I got body doubles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like Kid, the TOP.
I mean, like I don't have a calc for it, but in the anime, Kid Buu threatened to destroy the planet of heaven, which is stated in the Daizenshu to be the size of the universe. And
So it's the size of one infinite universe. So you've officially gotten Kid Buu to like 2 times universal. Cool.
because
you need to get to 60,000 times universal. No, there's nothing you can do with Kid Buu to get you that high.
it's like because heaven as a planet would inherently be made entirely of mass, hence and thus the power necessary to destroy will be much greater than just that beyond universal.
So you'd have to give me a calc proving
Yeah.
that is 1 true and 2 60,000 times more mass.
Yeah, it's like I don't have the calc on hand.
All right. Do you want to go on to a different point? Speed, maybe?
The speed thing's pretty much is pretty tied to the power stuff.
Oh, well, that's a L for you then.
Yeah.
You want to concede, bro?
I think I've got one more thing. Let's see. Yeah, there's the super dimensional structures. There's the super dimensions from the Broly movie.
Why is that any greater than a universal feed?
Because the words they use what is it? Chojigan, I believe it is. Means like literally mean structures beyond higher dimensions.
I would need to see where that's used and be able to prove that it's a canonical statement.
It's like it's in the hold a second. What? It didn't send right. Hold a second. Alright, let's see. No. It said right now. Okay, no. Hold on a second, let me try this on my phone. Hopefully this will work. Okay, no, that didn't work. What the fuck?
I mean, that's a dope GIF.
Yeah.
What are you even looking for to prove right now?
I have an
Oh wait,
image
hold
of
on.
this-
I opened the link. Hold on.
Oh,
The
okay.
fight between Broly and Gogeta is shown to be blah blah blah. Okay, so here's the problem. That is what the official Dragon Ball Super Broly movie novelization says. The novelization is not canonical to the anime, so that statement, null and void.
How is it non-canonical?
Okay, so you realize that the novelization would be its own adaptation of events that shows it, like, it literally shows, like, tells you what happens, while the anime literally shows you what happens. Like, they are two different things. And, like, the Dragon Ball cosmology has always been very strict about two different universes having, like, different continuities. For example, the anime and manga of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super are very different. The continuity for, like, Super in the anime goes, like, Dragon Ball, the original anime.
Yeah, but it's like
and then Super.
Yeah, but the Broly movie is canonical to both.
Yeah, but the novelization is not. So you would have to either be saying that the movie happened or the novelization happened, which you did not say that you were going off of novel canon at the beginning of this debate. You said you were going off of anime canon.
It's like, all right, well, the CGI animators are referring to the constructs they're crashing through as super dimensions, and CGI anime is obviously referring to the animation.
That can be purely talking about the visuals. Why does someone who has no bearing on the plot have a bearing on, like, how strong these characters are?
I mean, they were asked to create super dimensional images with CGI. So I don't see why they would do that of their own accord, unless somebody who thought it was plot relevant told them to do so.
They could have just thought that it looked cool.
But then why call it super dimensional?
Because they're trying to find a hyperbolic phrase to get people excited during a press tour. Which, considering all you have is this random Imgur album that you're sending me, and not any, like, scans or evidence that you've accumulated yourself, we're about on equal interpretation right now. Honestly, if I wasn't tech savvy enough to get the link from that GIF that you sent, you wouldn't have even been able to show me these scans at all. So, honestly, you're pretty lucky I even found it. Do you want to move on to conclusions?
Yeah, sure, you win.
Oh, you're not even going to give a conclusion?
What conclusion is there to give?
I mean, you can give a final argument, man.
Man, who knows?
I don't really have anything else.
The judgment, bro.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What was that?
It's still up to judgment, bro. You can,
I'm judging.
Yeah, you could be winning the judgment.
Give your conclusions.
Okay, in that case, I think the idea that if they meant that they could just be using infinite hyperbolically would mean if they weren't that for the universe stuff. I think that if they were using the infinite stuff hyperbolically, they would have used other adjectives. They would have used other stuff that was synonymous with the very large definition of infinite, not specifically infinite itself. The idea that time isn't I think the idea that time isn't the fourth dimension is that time isn't at least 4D is a weird argument. Hence, and I don't really see how you could argue that the novelization isn't say supplementary material to the anime like the guidebooks are.
Is that the end of your conclusion?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so in my conclusion, I believe my opponent gave a litany of fallacious arguments trying to back up his point. I do not believe that he was able to properly convey that the Dragon Ball universe, each of them, are infinite mathematically, as he sent a scan that directly contradicted that by saying infinitely expansive. I believe he made a lot of appeal to realities and assumptions that fictional verses must work the same way that real life verses do. And if an actual fight were to go down, Peter Griffin would pull up, laugh, and then the entire Dragon Ball verse would explode.
Okay, you want me to give my judgment?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, I believe Dotbat won this one pretty low diff because almost all of Dank's points were either debunked by being like a appeal to authority, appeal to reality, even some arguments from silence in there. So yeah, basically because all of his reasoning and scaling was fallacious, none of it holds ground in a debate. And he also never really attacked Dotbat scaling. He just tried to like scale his above it, so it didn't really pan out. Anyway, that's my judgment.
Thank you, TJ.
All right.
Dank, you're welcome to debate in this server some more. We've got more people in here that like to debate and shit, not just about Family Guy. There's people talk about Naruto, Dragon Ball, whatever.
You know what? You know what my judgment is?
What was it?
This is worse than that time. Fucking. This is worse than the time that